meeting. Before Mayor Parker calls the meeting to order, we ask that you please silence all electronic devices. For those of you who requested to speak, there are two podiums in the chamber. The podium in the back is for individuals with mobility concerns. We ask all others to step forward to the front podium. Each podium has a countdown clock located to the speaker's right, which will indicate how much time is remaining. When you have 30 seconds left, a bell will sound. When your time has ended, the bell will sound again, and you should wrap up your comments. Before you begin your comments, please state your name. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to your City of Fort Worth public comment meeting. Call us to order.
Tonight's invocation will be by Minister Jonathan McKenzie from the Bridgewood Church of Christ. And
Is he here? Nope. Chris, go ahead.
oh,
Welcome.
perfect timing. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
All right, thank you. Let's pray. Father God, we're thankful for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're thankful for the safety that allowed us to get through traffic and for the health that allows us to be here. We're thankful for this city, for every citizen. We ask that you would be with our first responders. We think especially of Deputy Brown, be with him in his recovery. We're thankful for each member of the city council, for the staff, for so many volunteers who do great things in this city. We ask that you bless this meeting tonight and bless the decisions that are made and the discussions that are had. It's in Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we should. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Council, our first action item will be consideration of the minutes from the October 31st, November 7th, and November 14th council meetings.
Second, council, any other discussion? Please vote. Charlie's a yes. Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes all of the action
Thank you,
items.
Jeanette. Our first speaker by phone will be Bob Willoughby, followed by Dave Fulson.
Mr. Willoughby?
Yes, are we on live?
Yes, you are. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, very good. All right, then. You know, I kind of like doing this from home a lot better. I think I'm going to just start dropping off videos of y'all and stay here because the more I think about what's happened to this council in the last 2 years and what you've done to it, Maddie, it's just really, it's really disgusting. I don't think I want to be in the same room with you people. When Jesus comes for resurrection, I don't want to be anywhere near y'all in the vicinity of you guys, okay? So I think I'm going to drop off more videos and stay right here. It'd be good. But anyway, tonight I really don't have much planned. Let's just go back over a few things in the history of why I'm where I'm at and what I'm doing, kind of maybe. Might help understand, because a lot of you don't know me. Actually, I got started in 2013. I must say, if it wasn't for the dishonesty of code compliance, Brandon Bennett, I would not have been this much involved at all. But thankful to him, I'm this much involved. It started off with a lack of citations, with no return phone calls. The officer that writes a ticket doesn't talk to you. I found that wrong, okay? So I go to council. The other thing I discovered was that code compliance could write citations with zero notice. I found that wrong and went to council. Also, I found out code compliance can write citations every 24 hours for the same violation. Wow. I didn't know all this. See, I've had a very fortunate life, and I'm very content. And I have more than what I deserve, I'm telling you. Really, I have. I've had a great life. I've had a really exciting one. I had the privilege of working for the Rolling Stones for 21 years. That's great. It was pretty cool. But, you know, I kind of want to retire and live in a decent city. But then I found out that I wasn't living in one. I found out that we're living in a communist-type world now, where the mayor takes away your right to speak at city council. And people don't think anything about it. That's mind-boggling to me. And I'll tell you what, people have been so dummied down by Betsy Price and the ones before her. That's the problem. People have really been dummied down not to be involved in their local government. Pay attention to it. Because if they were smart, which that's what we're going to try to get at, is that if you're smart, you would ask, why did Mattie Parker take away the right to speak? That's what a smart person would do. They don't even do that. So anyway, we've got a handful of people controlling the city that's got money, and a handful of people that will turn a blind eye and vote for you. We have dishonest neighborhood associations, which we're trying to start another one, a new one, not dishonest one, a new one. And we're going to work there and have to really get down to the ground roots. But I found out any hope for this city. Am I out of
Thank you,
time
Bob.
yet?
Our next speaker is Dave Fulson, followed by Matthew Mucker.
Nervous talking to this den of snakes up here. All this police presence and everything. Good evening, everyone. My name's Dave Fulson. I'm a District 5 resident and a director of the John T. White Neighborhood Association. I'm here to talk about the men and women of our city's police department and offer some observations and convictions too rarely heard in these chambers. I'm here personally and on behalf of our neighborhood association to say thank you for our officers for the difficult and dangerous job they do every day, every shift. We're proud of the personal and professional relationships we've built with Fort Worth PD, from Chief Noakes to our East Side commanders and patrol officers. This two-way relationship has made a tremendous difference in our area, one I believe that's appreciated by both citizens and our officers. East Side officers have always made themselves available when requested at our association meetings, often as speakers, sharing timely information about the current law enforcement events or even threats in our area. This photo shows our former commander, Monica Martin, and several East Side patrol officers at a planning meeting at my home with concerned citizens, discussing how to shut down illegal and dangerous ranch-style parties that featured gunfire, brawls, underage drinking, and all-night noise pollution in our area. With their leadership and assistance, this growing menace was stopped in its tracks. To combat out-of-control street racing and stunning takeovers of our roads, Fort Worth PD worked with council, mayor, and our governor to beef up laws, patrols, monitor racers' social media sites, and set up surveillance cameras in our area, all of which combined have greatly reduced this activity in our area. To citizens in our city with an eternal axe to grind with our PD, I suggest they do what I recently did and participate in the Citizen Ride-In program. I was paired with Officer Louis Canizares, a 20-plus year East Side veteran who provided me an eye-opening experience. Our shift was filled with a wide range of interactions, and I met with several other officers as our evening and night progressed. I saw citizen hostility met with patience, respect, and friendly engagement. I saw officers interact with teens and kids with smiles and thoughtful encouragement. Fort Worth can be exceptionally proud to have an officer like Louis Canizares and so many like him wearing our uniform. The ride-in experience made a true impact on me, and my already deep respect for our officers grew tremendously throughout it. I already know that I'm not personally wired to do their difficult and too often thankless job, but I thank God that these dedicated men and women serve and protect us through the irreplaceable job they perform every day. I suggest that every citizen, especially those who use every opportunity to ridicule and constantly second-guess our officers, sign up for the free police ride-in program. I promise you, you will see firsthand the difficult and dangerous service they provide, even for those that disparage their efforts and sacrifice. And in closing, I would like to personally suggest to such folks, until you leave your family at home every day to protect everybody else's family, don't talk trash about our police or our soldiers for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulson. Our next speaker is Matthew Mucker, followed by Jamie Holder.
Councilman Blaylock, Madam Mayor, members of the council, my name is Matthew Mucker. I'm a resident of the city of Fort Worth. I live at 3733 Monica Lane. I'm here to encourage the city to adopt a new ordinance as permitted by a law recently enacted by the Texas State Legislature. I'm a divorced parent of 2 children. Like most divorced parents, my ex-wife and I are under court orders to follow a well-defined visitation schedule with our children. Earlier this year, my ex-wife simply decided that she would no longer obey the court's order and refused to let me see my son for the visitation periods prescribed by the court. After suffering through almost 6 months of this behavior on the part of my ex-wife, I would like to share with you what I've learned about interfering with child visitation in Texas. First, my ex-wife's actions are a crime. Section 25.03 of the Texas Penal Code makes it a felony for a person to interfere with the other parent's court-ordered visitation rights. Second, this is a crime that is almost never prosecuted. The Fort Worth Police Department will do nothing to assist parents like me who have been refused access to their children. FWPD has told me that this is a civil matter, despite the fact that the Texas Penal Code quite clearly says that this is a criminal matter. This is common across the state. Most municipal police departments view interference with child visitation as a civil matter and not the criminal matter that it is. To be sure, there are civil remedies for estranged parents like myself. I can hire a family law attorney and spend thousands of dollars on legal fees and months of no contact with my child waiting for a court date. I am one of the few parents in Texas who has the resources to do this. There are thousands of loving parents across the state of Texas who are being denied the right to see their children in spite of court orders to the contrary because they live in municipalities where the police view this as a civil matter and lack the means to pursue civil remedies in court. There are parents in Texas who haven't seen their children in years because the offending parent knows through their own experience and the experiences of others that nothing will happen to them if they continue to deny their ex-spouses the right to see their children. The Texas legislature this year has finally recognized this for the issue that it is and has permitted municipalities such as Fort Worth to offer an avenue of recourse to the many, many parents who have found themselves without remedy from being estranged from their children. This law allows municipalities to prosecute the crimes in Section 25.03 as civil penalties, imposing fines on parents who refuse to obey court orders. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a powerful solution to a festering problem in our communities. The simple recourse of a small but meaningful fine would finally send a message to defiant parents that there are penalties for disobeying the legal system and damaging a child's relationship with his or her parents. I encourage the city to adopt legislation on this matter immediately. There are thousands of parents out there, like myself, who desperately want to see their children again. The state of Texas has failed these parents for too many years. There is an opportunity here for the city to do the right thing and help parents like me who just want to see their kids according to the rights the judges have assigned to them. I would like to see my city be a leader in this effort and be an example to other municipalities in Texas, leading the way towards righting a wrong that has festered for too long in our state.
Thank you, Mr. Mucker. Our next speaker is Jamie Holder, followed by Lawrence Walker.
Hi, my name is Jamie Holder. I'm the owner of Creme de la Creme Cake Company on the east side. I'm here this evening to make my concerns known for the 6-lane highway expansion in front of all of our shops on East Lancaster in historic Hanley. As a property owner and business owner of Creme de la Creme for the past 18 years, I've been dedicated to bringing awareness, business, economic opportunities to our area. Since I've been in Hanley, I've encouraged other wedding vendors to purchase property in Hanley to further encourage what is now known as the Wedding District. As you can see by the beautiful illustrated drawings, this is what we managed to create all on our own. 20 years we have been doing this. We now have property owners invested in our area. We as a whole are honestly shocked that now you want to add a 6-lane highway in front of all of our shops. Daily, we deal with wrecks, speeding issues as it is now. If anything needs to happen, we need to slow the 4 lanes down that we currently have so that our customers can walk in, get out of their vehicles safely, and walk our sidewalks safely. I find it incredible that after nearly 18 years of promises from the city of Fort Worth that has been planning and dreaming of an urban village for Hanley, which has always been the ultimate goal, only to find out now that you want to make it a 6-lane highway for 18-wheelers, cars to barrel through the lights, car wrecks. Again, this is what appearances on Food Network, bridal shows, numerous magazine articles, really solely focused on Hanley. If the 6-lane highway happens, what will occur is what has happened in other areas, that the streets have been expanded to highways. Rundown buildings, pawn shops, illegal gaming rooms, and homeless camps. That's what I came into 18 years ago. That's what we have. Let's not go back to that. As a business owner and someone who has always been a huge proponent to advocate for the East Side, I want to make sure you're aware of what you will be destroying. What needs to happen is what other cities have done to generate revenue and not more highways, to create an urban village with coffee shops, restaurants, unique shops, with walkable, safe sidewalks. Thank you guys very much for your time.
Jamie, before you go, it sounds like we owe you a lot of communication and to really calm nerves in Hanley. We completely agree that you have a beautiful urban village, and the East Lancaster Corridor Partnership is a TOD project that we're working with TxDOT and our partners at USDOT. Our intention is never to destroy Hanley and put a 6-lane highway. It's kind of complicated to try to address in a public comment, but Lauren Prier is here from TBW in a beautiful green suit. We'll make sure you connect and importantly have better communication with that entire area.
With our whole strip.
Absolutely, yes ma'am. So
that
you
is
can
not
leave
the
tonight
plan.
without nightmares about a 6-lane highway in East Lancaster and to really maintain this corridor and make it an even bigger and better urban village than it currently is and protect the corridor that you have today.
So
I think,
no 6-lane.
no ma'am, I think there's a lot of miscommunication.
Okay.
Yes ma'am.
I would love to do that.
Absolutely, we'll make sure
Thank
Lauren
you.
connects. Thank you for
Okay,
coming
appreciate
tonight.
y'all.
Yes, thank you. Our next speaker is Lawrence Walker by phone, followed by Norden Mayfield.
Mr. Walker?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and my fellow neighbors across the city. Thank you in advance for this opportunity to speak. My name is Lawrence E. Walker II, and I am calling in today to formally introduce myself and the organizations I represent. I'm a native Texan and lifelong Tarrant County resident, born at the JPS Hospital. I have lived in Fort Worth for 28 years as a homeowner, property owner, and taxpayer. I represent and speak for PCU Incorporated, Neighborhood Life, and Poly Heights Neighborhood Association. PCU Incorporated, established in 2012, is a boutique consulting company that offers the full range of marketing and public relations services centered around project management, brand management, and content development for web, print, and media. We also offer guidance on development of benchmarks for analytics, KPI, and metrics, as well as for IT development and management for small to mid-sized businesses. Neighborhood Life is a Texas-based nonprofit organization dedicated to eliminating multidimensional, multi-generational poverty through addressing the key issues surrounding poverty, like education, housing, and economic development. And the purpose of the Poly Heights Neighborhood Association is to help protect and increase property values and encourage civic participation and goodwill, as well as to be a centralized, informative, and educational resource for our residents, employees, students, businesses, and visitors within our boundaries. So collectively, over the years, we have built a coalition of individuals, businesses, and organizations working for the improvement and the quality of life in the city for everyone, including the unrepresented, the underrepresented, and the underserved in our community and neighborhood. Over the next several meetings, I look forward to sharing our coalition's 2024 observations, suggestions, and recommendations, which we've organized into 5 key categories, which are 1, governance, 2, housing, 3, education, 4, economic development, and 5, transportation. Thank you for your time and attention, and I pray everyone has a safe and happy Christmas break. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Our next speaker is Norden Mayfield Jr., followed by George Childs. Is Mr. Mayfield here? We'll move to George Childs, followed by Daniel Bennett.
My name is George Vernon Childs. I live in Fort Worth. Last week in this room, I saw the last stage of one of the results of a nightmarish reversal of the purpose of a wellness check. Instead of providing assistance, if needed, to an innocent victim of circumstances, it created one with a result that would be expected of a successful patrol or ambush. It's speaking in terms of squad-level combat about something that happened in a residential backyard hyperbolic or melodramatic or insensitive or just plain bad taste, I think it quite fitting, since the person who killed Ms. Jefferson became a police officer because he wanted, quote, action and adventure, unquote, but didn't want to deploy with the military. I listened last week and I wondered why, hardly for the first time, why some of the top drawer assets available to counsel when setting things to as right as possible can't be used to attempt to prevent the necessity to do this to begin with. And I remembered September 6, 2022, when Thomas spoke the last words here that he would ever speak. When is the transparency and accountability coming? Also speaking that night was the person who saw something and said something, who trusted the city of Fort Worth to ensure that a wellness check remained exactly that. The person the mayor pro tem referred to last week as the neighbor. He mentioned a 97-page report on the Fort Worth police and said, I cringed because what I was reading I already knew. The gist of that report was that changes in police procedure were, quote, inform only and do not influence the behavior of officers on the street, unquote. And here we are, one day shy of 15 months later. Thomas's question remains rhetorical, and the neighbor continues to note examples of police doing whatever they please. I'm convinced that this will not change until the grip of the POA on police operations is broken. See for yourselves what police unions stand for. Ronald G. DeLorde virtually invented police unions as they exist today. Pull up Ron DeLorde, attorney at law, and go to the In the News section. Scrolling down to Wilderbeasts in red will prove particularly informative to council members, because according to the author of 3 books on police union leadership, that is Mr. DeLorde, they're the wildebeest, you're the wildebeest, and the unions are cheetahs who strike them down at will.
Our next speaker is Daniel Bennett, followed by Lydia Hudson.
Daniel Bennett, White Settlement. This is a continuation of the night Ms. Price was there last evening. It's a continuation. And David Cook still owes me an explanation. Good evening. My name is Daniel Bennett, White Settlement. I wish again to examine the relationship between Fort Worth, Tarrant Appraisal District, and the current condition of the citizens of Tarrant County who find themselves in its appraisal district at odds. This acrimonious relationship lies on the shoulders of this body, including Mr. Crane. This dates back to the hiring of Jeff Law and keeping Joe Pothoff, Fort Worth's appointee, to the TAD board for 22 years. As I have said to this body, the evidence points to Betsy Price and those who assisted her. This combination of overpromising, underperforming by Mr. Law and all the directors over the past 12 years by the TAD board, in my opinion, has done immutable harm to the quality of life of our residents in this county, from which they shall never recover. This includes past and current council members, I'm talking about this body, and mayors, who unapologetically defend their position, even are proud of their contributions. In the face of ignoring mounting evidence and incompetence by the management of the appraisal district and its governing boards has led to years of the taxing units and this Fort Worth blithely turning their backs on the taxpayers. I would have to endure testimonies and testaments of pride from the people who currently serve this body and its former elected official, saying how proud they are at the way the board has functioned. I have to stand there and listen to it. Denying anything different would have been a admission of failure. This body is woefully ill-informed, ignorant of the ongoings of TAD, and has ignored all the misgivings perpetrated upon the taxpayers through your hubris and lack of understanding. Your tax rules are fundamentally flawed, and you hear me what I'm saying, and are not a good standard bearer, allowing you to set a defined no new revenue tax rate. In my opinion, the people who do not belong on the TAD board are real estate agents, developers, elected officials, and former elected officials. They do not have the acumen to do their job. They bring bad habits to the property tax system. This is incompetence of the appraisal system. This incompetence in the appraisal system has now bled over to the appointment of directors. It is magnified by this election cycle. We have Jake Worman, who should not be on the ballot. He has fought valuations and accepted donations, and even though he was a pass-through agent, property tax code precludes him for 3 years from being on a ballot. He's on your ballot. Arlington ISD messed up. They had 2 open meetings, and they voted on the 3rd meeting, and we had a sitting director go there and ask for their votes, hoping for them to violate the property tax code, a sitting member. And then you can read the rest of my comments. They're in your possession. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lydia Hudson, followed by Adrien Smith by phone. Is Ms. Hudson here? Hi there. You're good. Thank you, Lydia.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lydia Hudson, and I'm here to speak about feral and community cats. I saw it was part of your earlier work session. I am a feral and community cat trapper here in the city of Fort Worth. I work on my own, doing the best I can, and I have 2 proposals for you. I would highly encourage you to adopt an advisory committee of current trappers in the city to help not only the Fort Worth shelter, but y'all be informed of the numbers, the colonies, and what we're looking at. And my second proposal is for the City of Fort Worth Animal Shelter to develop a monthly feral cat fix to spay and neuter unowned community cats. As y'all know, you turn to anyone, the Fort Worth City Shelter, Saving Hope Rescue, Meowtown Animal Rescue, so many others. We are drowning in animals. There is a code red list every day, and there's been over 600 cats euthanized this year by the Fort Worth Shelter. Our wonderful shelter has lost its distinction of being a no-kill shelter. One of the easiest ways to get that back, according to the Best Friends Animal Society, is to concentrate on feral and community cats to help reduce the number of unwanted litters and manage those populations. I've heard a lot of excuses over the years that there's a shortage of veterinarians, that we don't have the funding and whatnot. However, we have some great examples here in the Metroplex, in the wider Metroplex, including Grand Prairie Animal Services, Garland Animal Services, the Arlington Shelter, and the Weatherford Shelter. Each month, the City of Arlington offers 20 spay and neuter surgeries for these cats. Every month, the city of Weatherford, offers 100 of these spots for community cats, all free to residents of Parker County, all free to residents of the city of Arlington. We have a great opportunity with this new funding that's coming in to offer that here for the city of Fort Worth. I highly encourage you to help the city shelter adopt a monthly program of at least 20 cats that can be fixed for free to manage these populations. You have a lot of people in the community that can help with that. To give you an example, there are a couple places here in Fort Worth where people can fix their cats. One of them is TCAP down in Burleson. There are only 12 spots every day. This morning at 1:22 a.m., all 12 spots were full. So there were 12 cats and their caregivers camped out in a parking lot for almost 7 hours. You're not even getting Taylor Swift tickets, right? To try and get these cats fixed. So please consider helping these feral and community cats with this money and making a difference for all the people and the animals of Fort Worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Our next speaker is Adrien Smith by phone, followed by David Martinez.
Adrien Smith, I am one with the people. I would like to begin by revisiting a past council meeting that was scheduled November 14, 2023, and I will begin with a quote. The environmental injustices within the Echo Heights community were created before I was born, end quote. And was that a quote by City Mayor Matty Parker or not? Well, let me let individuals know who are listening that it was not a quote. It actually is a misquote that I wrote myself. But I chose that misquote because I just wanted to highlight what our current mayor has been doing when she chooses to misquote individuals. So again, she didn't make that statement. It was just a highlight of her actions and what she's been doing. So, Mayor Parker, you said a lot in that particular meeting, and we know that most of the discussion centered around the environmental injustices as it relates to the Echo Heights and Stop 6 communities. You know, the Echo Heights and Stop 6 Environmental Coalition have been fighting against. You called it rhetoric. Well, I don't feel it was rhetoric, Mayor Parker. I feel that it was truth. And, you know, you said some things that misquoted Ms. Leticia Wilburn. You know, you stated something in regards to zoning apartheid, the return of Jim Crow. You also stated that you all were called a racist city council members, but that was a false statement. And there were also some of you were laughing while Ms. Wilburn was speaking. I wish you could identify who you were, but I just want to say it's disgusting. But anyway, to the council members who stay silent while the mayor is allowed to misquote individuals and weaponize their words with malicious intent, why do you choose to stay silent? Now, what I did hear a statement regarding apartheid zoning, exclusionary zoning, segregational zoning, and I quote, the city should be responsible, but it has a racist past. It's never been called out on its redlining, end quote. Now, that was a quote by Ms. Leticia Wilburn, a real quote. In closing, I see my time is winding down. We'll talk on next week. You all have a good night. And Mayor, Monday, go ahead and put your name in for a K Granger seat so you can vacate that seat. Good night.
Our next speaker is David Martinez, followed by Sarah Bradford. It's Mr. Martinez. I saw David here. He must be outside. He was here. I'll move to Sarah Bradford. We'll go back to David. Ms. Bradford. Mr. Martinez, we'll have you come next, okay? Thank you, Ms. Bradford.
Yes, I'm Sarah Bradford. In February, I shall be 75 years old. I have 2 stents. I have diabetes. I'm not getting any younger, okay? That guy across the street at Dunbar Senior High School where I live, he has band practice with the drums at 6 o'clock in the afternoon on the front steps of the school. Why the heck do we pay taxes for schools if they're not going to use them? They got a football field over to the side. They got an open space behind the school. There's nothing back there but a church. Nobody's there. Why can't the citizens live in peace? I've been living in that location for 55 years. It'll be 56 years next year. I have never, ever had anybody so disrespectful. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon last week, I took my little self right on over there, and I told that guy, hey, it's 6 o'clock, you guys need to be home. Stop all this beating. I had a headache. And you know, they got louder because I asked them not to. And see, my temper not too good anymore. I'm not, you know, I don't know how much more I can stand. Now, if something happened to me, ambulance can't come because there's cars parked everywhere. And if I die, I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows the city is responsible and to sue you. Because I don't know anything else to do. I've done everything I could. I've called everybody. And then they had enough nerve to build a basketball court across the street from my house. Now, you know, a bunch of older teenage boys and younger adult boys, they get into an argument over a basketball game, they're gonna start shooting. And where you think the bullet's gonna go? Right through my front door. That's not right. That's not considering the citizens of a city. We need something too. We need some kind of protection. You know, I can't afford to live like that, and I'm not gonna move. You know, I'm not gonna let these youngsters come in and push me out of my house. You know, and it's just not right, and I think something ought to be done. And on this parking situation, if an ambulance needed to come, they couldn't get to me. I'd just be dead in there because there's nowhere to get to. There's no way to get around all the cars. They park all up and down Raymond. And it's even posted, no parking, tollway zone. Let them tell somebody, because they're not going to listen until you do. Ticket's not doing it. Ticket's not going to do it. We have this officer, he's the best officer we ever had in the neighborhood. He gives tickets, and I have watched him go to everybody individually and tell them not to do that. They don't care. They're not scared of no tickets. You know, they say, I'm not scared of what you got for me. So I think we ought to just tow a couple of them, at least one on each side, and then let them get the message, because it's a monkey see, monkey do. If you do it, I'm going to do it too. If you can get away with it, I can too. So just tow them and see if they want to get away with that too.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. We'll make sure someone from the school district also contacts you. Our next speaker is Mr. Martinez, followed by Carolyn Perez.
This is the first time I'm reading something out here to y'all. Good evening. I want to thank everyone for their work to make Fort Worth safe, City Council, City Manager, and staff, and most of all, Fort Worth PD and the federal agents who have worked with passion to stop the bad guys. I live in Carter Park and have properties in District 3, 8, 9, and 11. I chose to live in Carter Park to stay and fight. I am at a war with the Mexican drug cartel, human traffickers, MS-13, and terrorists. I'm proud to tell you we are winning the war. I used to come here to complain and bring up social issues. Those things repeat. What I realized is that economic development is necessary in Southside to bring about change for the betterment. Tomorrow, I'll attend a meeting on gentrification. One of the things I wanted to bring up about gentrification is, one of the things I realized was that without economic development, we're gonna have poverty in Southside. And that needs to change, because with poverty comes crime, it comes mental illness, many other things, healthcare and all that stuff goes down. And so to take over these problems, we're gonna need economic development, we're gonna need income to pay taxes. And my neighborhood is afraid that our taxes are gonna go up. And I told them, I said, well, go to the meetings, we're gonna have meetings, and we're gonna have it with Councilwoman Martinez. She had a resource fair event, and then I told everybody, go over there, but it's hard to get people to show up. And then the same people who are complaining about their taxes going up don't want to show up at the workshops and things like that, and it's hard to get them there. But I have told them that I will help them out personally. They can call me. I can talk about their taxes and problems like that. But we're not going to go back to crime and all that stuff to reduce your. I've seen people even shoot their guns up in the air on the YouTube and say, "Hey, we're bringing down the prices of our rent and everything by shooting up in the air." And I think that's crazy. That's crazy. I said, you know, our property values go up, and many of us own our houses. And so I told everybody, I said, look, that's money we can use to reinvest in the community and start a business. And one of the things I want to work on is the seminary corridor. I want to work on seminary corridor, and I want to have development there. We do now have the best barbecue showing up in Carter Park on Seminary. Ribby's is going to be opening up soon. Y'all hold your horses. You're going to come up there. And I know y'all going to wait in line, and I know y'all going to bring your money over there to spend. Barbecue ain't cheap, and I know that you're going to have your money out ready to try the barbecue there in Carter Park. But this is an opportunity that we need to expand on for development. I'm not against positive development. I'm not. I want those motels to turn into hotels. I want tourists to come here and try the barbecue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Perez, followed by James Smith.
All right. The right to disagree with public officials without retribution is the heart of a thriving democracy. And just because a public official does not like what someone says about his decisions, that does not give you all the right to intimidate someone or censor constitutionally protected speech. Now, practically, so council meetings are held to be a limited public forum, but when you created a public comment section, now the people that speak during the public comment section have First Amendment protections. Because you can't, and also because it's a public forum, You cannot exclude a person from speaking because you don't like the topic, which means you must actually disrupt the meeting before you can remove him. And that's a Supreme Court case called Acosta versus City Costa Mesa. So you have to prove that the meeting was disrupted. But the meeting that Bob and Adrien were in, I mean, you could still hear Adrien out there going, don't touch me, don't touch me. And the meeting still didn't end because of that. It wasn't disrupted because the meeting continued. So they have to, I'll give you a hint though, in order to get rid of them, they have to engage in a disorderly, disruptive, boisterous conduct, such as hand clapping, I didn't hear any of that, stomping his feet, whistling, making loud noise, and you have to do something like spray some pepper spray or moon somebody. That's the only way you can get kicked out of a meeting. So there are loopholes though. So you're thinking that if you kick him out and you still give him, oh yeah, here's the next one. The other loophole that you have is fighting words. So if the class of speech which are personally abusive, meaning that when addressed to an ordinary citizens are a matter of common knowledge, authority, inherently are like to provoke a violent reaction, then you can throw them out if it's fighting words. But then you got to figure out, well, why'd you ban him? Did you ban him because it was a punishment? Or did you ban them in case they made like y'all mad again? If you think that you, by allowing him to talk on the phone, that you can get away with that one, you can't, because there's another court case, Angry versus the City of Portland, and they said in that court case that there's a difference between calling on the phone and being here in person. So, and also another one, Risa versus Pierce. It was based on the fear that he may be disrupted in the future. So you got 2 court cases that cover that. So the loophole that you do have, though, if you have to prove that he's a threat to public safety, but you can't do that one either. So when you ban somebody physically from coming to the meetings, you're now violating the 14th Amendment, because that was the amendment that said separate but equal was okay. The separate but equal doctrine, that's what they used in the old style to prevent black people from using the same water fountain as white people and using different restaurants and so on. So you guys are violating the 14th Amendment. I'm surprised because we've got 2 lawyers up there and educated people. And I feel like I'm in the twilight zone when we have to complain about people getting kicked out of meetings and so on. And also, I got 5 seconds. The police, why don't they let us film them if they're so great? Right? And why do they kill people at the mall if they're so great?
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Our next speaker is James Smith, followed by Terry Roach. I don't think Mr. Smith is here. Terry Roach.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I lived in Fort Worth for several years, owned a home in Fort Worth. I currently live in Benbrook, a couple thousand feet from Fort Worth. I grew up a couple hundred feet from Fort Worth. I could see Fort Worth and hear Fort Worth from my living room growing up as a kid. Problems, obviously, most problems are not confined to a city limit. And Ms. Hudson and other speakers I know have addressed you about the issue with feral animals, feral cats specifically, and of course, dogs as well. And it's a reflection on our city. We can do so much better. I'm also spent a lot of time and spent a lot of time with the kitties and at the animal shelters and working to on this issue to make our city better. We need you. We need you to do more. I was here in February, and the last time I spoke on issues related to policing, specifically the release of body camera video and the treatment of our some of the people, the so-called auditors, and those who, they're provocateurs. They can be annoying, but they're fighting for civil rights, and they're fighting for our constitutional rights. So whether you like them or not, if they're following the law, they should have that same respect. And we need policies, not where we have a gray area of you're too close. You know, Arizona looked to pass a law specifying if you're within 10 feet of an officer executing a traffic stop or something, we need a specific policy, so those that isn't ripe for abuse. Last time I was here, happened to be here with Reverend Tatum and other members who had of the public who had other reverends who had similar concerns about our police. And afterwards, Chief Noakes went and met with a group immediately afterwards with the Hispanic Republican group, and he said, And I expressed when I was here, I said, I have the great respect for police. My grandfather was a police. I considered a career in policing. I sat down at Thanksgiving dinner this year with a distinguished police officer from Dallas. Chief Noakes said he was glad to be at the Hispanic Republican gathering because he'd just come from a meeting where he was surrounded by people and had to listen to comments of people who hate police. I'm offended by that, lumping me in, and with especially the reverends. I don't presume to speak for them, but I think anyone can imagine that imputing hatred on that group is beneath the dignity. It's not leadership. It's not respectful. And Mayor Parker, I'm seeing the same thing from you. I've watched many of the almost a tantrum with the people. I know you don't like them. It's obvious. But we hear Miss Hudson, we hear Mr. And Mr. Mucker, but we hear Bob and Manuel. Everybody deserves to be treated with that same respect. We are a great city. We need great services for cats, and we need that respect for people with whom you do not agree.
Council, that's the last of our speakers. Meeting adjourned. Give respect, get respect.